Hi, me again. So way back in 2023, I decided to listen to 52 new albums and watch 52 new films. Then I would go on to make a couple of videos where I ranked them all. I also ended up ranking all the games I played too. The following year, I ended up doing the same thing, except I didn't lock myself into 52. It was just whatever new album I happened to listen to and whatever new film I happened to watch. But this year I've been partying like it's 2023. So here are the 52 albums that I listened to in 2025. At number 52, Amazulu by Amazulu. Like Afro pop, reggae pop, it just didn't really do anything for me. Followed up by number 51, Short Songs for Busy People by Brett Domino. I usually like Brett Domino. I really like the idea of like having an album full of really short songs. But this album was basically, look, I'm being ironic and funny about how people consume media. I've got to keep swiping, got to go on to the next video, got to blah, blah. It could have been executed a lot better, and it really wasn't that interesting. Number 50, 7 Piano Sketches by Andre 3000. Short, sweet, and charmingly lo-fi. Number 49, Komachi by Meitai. On paper, I should really enjoy this, like ambient electronic music inspired by Japanese sounds, but I don't know, maybe I was just in a bad mood that day because, again, it didn't really do anything for me. At number 48, we have Peter Criss's solo album by Peter Criss. Peter Criss is the original drummer from Kiss, and at one point, all the members of Kiss decided to release their own solo albums. This is one of them. It was dull and boring, aside from like 2 songs. One of them I found really entertaining in a silly way. The other song, he was singing about heartbreak and loss and sad things, and I'm just looking at the album cover of this guy in full cat makeup, looking at me while he sings about heartbreak and love loss and stuff like that. I just thought it was quite funny. Number 47, we have Jess or De Jessie Volume 4 by Jacob Collier. It was fine. It was okay. Number 46, we have Black Bolshevik by Gais Guevara. There's a couple of bangers on here for sure, but I don't know, it was a bit too intense for me. I guess this is a problem of my system where I only listen to an album once and write down my immediate thoughts afterwards. Number 45, we have Christmas in the City by Pentatonix. Pentatonix. Yeah, it's a modern day Christmas album with a cappella. Number 44, we have Arbina by Nora Mint Semali. Psychedelic desert blues kind of thing, quite like a haunting, wailing voice. I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. At number 43, we have When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go by Billie Eilish. I enjoyed the first half, I thought it was pretty good, but I remember not really being that into the second half. Sorry, Billie. Number 42, we have Mayhem by Lady Gaga. I mean, I like some of the Gaga songs, but some of her strange nonsense words didn't really land for me this time. I also really didn't like the last song. It just felt like a generic paint-by-numbers uninspired love song. But the majority of the album felt very strange Gaga, which was cool. At number 41, we have Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles. I just wrote it was nice, safe, and comfortable. Sorry, guys, not for me. At number 40, we have Sarface meets Metal Face by Sarface and MF Doom. Good beats, fun bars, a couple of standout tracks, but a nice little treat for fans of underground hip-hop. At number 39, we have Liminal Space by MXM Toon. I chose this album because of the name. I was expecting some sort of like wee ambient noise album, which I was quite looking forward to, but instead it was a warm little acoustic album. Number 38, Crazy Nights by Kiss. Much better than the other Kiss albums that I've listened to, which is one other Kiss album. I put the guitar solos and licks are cool, and some of the lyrics are so bad. Overall, I had more fun than I thought I was going to have. At number 37, we have Significant Other by Limp Bizkit. It's a Limp Bizkit album, so if you're feeling a bit angsty and angry, and you just want to justify ripping someone's head off, then this is the album for you. At number 36, we have Stay Now by Joel Lizarrades. Soothing, piano-led jazz. Number 35, Bando Stone and the New World by Childish Gambino. Yeah, I quite like Childish Gambino. I don't think it's as good as some of his other stuff, so quite middle-of-the-road Gambino album. Number 34 is Time Remembered by the Bill Evans Trio. Another nice piano-y jazz thing. Number 33 is Last Pale Light in the West by Ben Nichols, sorry. So this year I read a book called Blood Meridian, which is a really hard read, as in like messed up, really bad stuff happens in the book, but I loved it. It was a really great read. And our man Ben Nichols thinks so too, and he created an album inspired by the book. Each of the tracks are named after characters in the book, and he sings about them. The biggest issue I have is that for the track named after the Judge, there's no violin, and in the book, the Judge is an incredible violin player, amongst other things. This entry is more of a recommendation to read Blood Meridian than listen to Last Pale Light in the West. In fact, read Blood Meridian first, then listen to this album. That is my recommendation. Number 32, Where I'm Meant to Be by the Ezra Collective. I wrote down here, new jazz sounding vibes. I hate saying great background music because it sounds so disrespectful, but damn, I had a really productive day at work listening to this. Number 31, Paradise Now by Obongjr. Lovely little voice, which complements the funky bass and strong percussion. Number 30, Don't Tap the Glass by Tyler, the Creator. It's certainly a vibe. Much more dance and pop focused, I feel, than his more recent albums. If that's where his head's at, then that's where his head's at. Good for you, Tyler. Number 29, Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses. I mean, quite possibly one of the strongest debut albums ever. It's got the big three Guns N' Roses songs: Welcome to the Jungle, Paradise City, and Sweet Child of Mine. I mean, just those three alone on the same album is so strong. It also has some other good songs and other not so good songs, but it is a fun album. Number 28, Tailwind by the Fearless Flyers. Instrumental, funky, tight grooves. Really good. Number 27, Balloonerism by Mac Miller. Maybe I let the fact that this album was released a few years after his death affect me, but the whole album just sounds kind of like a bit unsettling and sad, I think. Which, I mean, if that's what he was going for, then well done. Before we get on to number 26, which is the halfway mark, it's the halfway mark. I feel like it's worth mentioning how I rate these albums when I listen to them. I rate them all out of 5, and from this point onward, everything is rated a 4 and above. So it's been a very good year for me musically. I just wanted to put out there that I thoroughly enjoyed all the albums in the rest of this list. Number 26, 1995 by the Screaming Headless Torsos. Funk rock is really good. These are like a heavier Red Hot Chili Peppers. Number 25, Inhuman Rampage by Dragon Force. It's Dragon Force. You know that one song from Guitar Hero? It's an album full of those kinds of songs, including that one song. It did have me shouting, headbanging, throwing up the horns, good stuff. Number 24, Stick Season by Noah Kahan. Some of the best lyrics I've heard this year on an album. Quite nice and I found quite comforting. Indie folk. This album makes me think of driving for a really long time through a snowy landscape, like with trees and woods and stuff like that. Number 23, Funky Kingston by Toots and the Maytals. Good vibes, catchy, feeling good, reggae type music. Number 22, Flower Boy by Tyler, the Creator. My general rule for these lists is I try to listen to one album per artist. I ended up listening to Flower Boy at the start of this year, and then Tyler dropped Don't Tap the Glass later on in the year. And he's an artist that I actively follow, so I kind of wanted to make an exception, and I did because screw you, this is my list. And yeah, a very personal album, quite heavy, like soulful hip-hop. It's got a very summery sound, I wrote. Number 21, The Girl, the Cat and the Tree by Louse the Cat. Really cool narrative-driven underground UK hip-hop. It's a story about a cat who's in the middle of an existential crisis, and then he meets a wizard who wants to help him out. He also meets a girl, and there's a tree involved as well. I wrote down A Melancholic Jam. While this isn't my favourite, I think this is the album I'd recommend the most because it's such a wild card. Love the beats. I'm sure at the time of writing those notes, I would have recommended it the most out of anything on this list, but not anymore. I still highly recommend it though. It's very interesting and weird, and some might call it a wild card. Number 20, Preacher's Daughter by Ethel Cain. Powerful, personal, folk, southern, gothic, pop kind of thing. Heavy but enjoyable, you know? Number 19, Supernova by the Nova Twins. Heavy punk rock meets electro. Really fun time. I listened to this while I was driving and I had a whale of a time. Number 18, Hell Hath No Fury by Clips. I couldn't decide if I wanted to listen to the most recent Clips album, Let God Sort 'Em Out, or one of their older things. And I went for one of their older ones because when I do listen to their most recent album next year, I've kind of got a bit more context on what Clips was like as a whole. Really good, funky beats. Yeah, Pusha T, Malice, really good album this. Especially if you like the kind of 2000s kind of hip hop. Number 17 is Blonde by Frank Ocean. I feel like I'm missing something here because a lot of people say this is like one of the greatest albums of all time. It just didn't connect with me in that way. I did really enjoy the album, just not to that degree. I mean, there's also the very large chance that it's because the album wasn't made for me and I can't exactly relate to it. But, one day I hope to understand a bit more as to why people love it so much and why people rate it so highly. Number 16, Lotus by Lil Sims. Lil Sims, one of my favorites. Sometimes I might be introvert. It was my favorite album of 2023. And she dropped Lotus this year. Very much enjoyed it. Some of the tracks I feel are a bit more experimental than some of her other things. It's got quite heavy themes of like loss and betrayal and stuff. At the end of the day, it's still a Lil Sims album. So she's still sharp as ever. Sick bars, sick flows, Number 15, West End Girl by Lily Allen. What can I say? I'm a fan of the drama. I like all the drama, give me the drama. Spill the D, eh? You know what I mean? Just a scathing breakup album. I mean, Lily, I'm sorry that this happened to you, but I really enjoyed this album. Number 14, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill by Lauryn Hill. It's a very good album. I can see why a lot of people love it so much. It's very deep and soulful. I love how the rapping is complemented by Lauryn's vocals. I even like the school skits. I don't know if it's a weird thing to say, but I feel like this album is quite comfortable and cozy for me, and I that might be strange. Maybe it's just that specific like hip hop sound, or it might just be her vocals. I really don't know, but yeah, really enjoyed it. Number 13, Civilization by Kiro Kiro Bonito. I'm a certified KKB enjoyer. I feel like this album is a little bit less cutesy than some of their other works. That being said, this might be my favorite album from them. I need to think about that a bit more. Yeah, quite strange, cosmic, delightful. Yeah, there's always something a little bit weird about KKB, which I find really fun. Number 12, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye West. Yeah, no. This is actually the first full-length Kanye album I've ever listened to, and man, I can see why so many people were such big fans of his earlier work. I mean, just fantastic production and rapping and stuff. I mean, he just gets it. Well, he got it at the time. I don't think he's got it now, but funnily enough, my favorite verse in this album isn't actually by Kanye, it's by Nicki Minaj, which also quite problematic at the moment, but and I don't even really like Nicki Minaj, but credit where credit is due. She absolutely kills it on Monster, just absolutely crushes it. It was fantastic. And at number 11, we have Imaginal Disc by Magdalena Bay. I wrote, hard to describe, but this was a delightful album. It's like psychedelic synth pop. It's not that hard to describe. Joe. Yeah, she's got a lovely voice, quite hypnotic. And the album was also quite funky in parts too, which was cool. And easing us in to the top 10, we have After Hours by Delicate Steve. It's a like hippie stoner guitar instrumental album. It's like such a nice time. I wrote, put this on while you're doing anything, and it's lovely. And I stand by that. It's a lovely album. Delicate Steve did a really good job here. If there's two things I can say about that Steve fella is that he is delicate and he knows how to work a guitar. Number 9, we have Legion by Creepy Nuts. A very fun, energetic Japanese rap album. Very punchy, very strong, very upbeat. A very fun album. And it's got a couple of anime OPs in there too, for good measure. Number 8 is Tapestry by Carole King. It feels like every track on this album was made with love and care and attention. Like it was perfectly crafted, and Carole King sat down, like put her arm around it and just said, hey, like having a conversation. Just a really nice heart-to-heart with these tracks. What am I saying? I think it'd be a great album to listen to while traveling. Very cozy and reassuring album. Number 7, Traveling Without Moving by Jamiroquai. I've never really listened to Jamiroquai outside of like the 2 big famous songs. And I think Virtual Insanity came on like a shuffle playlist or something. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to check out this lad's album. And I'm bloody glad I did, because it's full of acid jazz, and I love acid jazz, and it's funky, and it's super cool. It makes me want to just move in my chair. Thoroughly enjoyed this, and I thoroughly am looking forward to listening to more Jamiroquai albums next year. Number 6, we have Rainy Sunday Afternoon by The Divine Comedy. I don't know how you'd really describe The Divine Comedy. I think orchestra pop is what Danny said it was, so I'm going to go with that. Thank you, Danny. I love The Divine Comedy. I think, I've said it before, but I think the main guy, what's his name? Neil Hannon is one of the best lyricists out there. I think his lyrics are so poetic and powerful, but also can be really funny. And I think this album hits all of those things on the head. But it's also quite a melancholic album as well, quite like a rainy Sunday afternoon, as it were. Right. Top 5. So I mentioned how I rate all of my albums out of 5. Funnily enough, the top 5 on this list I rated 5 out of 5. So these are all perfect albums for me, I guess. And trying to decide an order is quite difficult. So I'm just going to have to go with my gut and say how I rank these in the moment. I might change my mind while I'm editing the video, but you know what? This is how I feel right now as I'm recording. So let's jump right into it. Number 5 is Cabin in the Sky by De La Soul. This is one of the last few albums I listened to, and I really didn't need another 5 out of 5 album. I really like De La Soul. And this album carries on their upbeat, warm, funny, lighthearted sounds. That being said, this album has themes of loss and like reflection and death and stuff. So it's quite sweet and also a bit heavy and personal as well. This album also has some sick features like Nas, Q-Tip, Killer Mike. It is quite a long album, but I feel like it is just as engaging as it is long. At number 4, I'm going for Fearless Movement by Kamasi Washington. Expansive, it's modern jazz, spiritual feelings. Ooh. Oh God, I sound so pretentious, but in my notes I wrote, this album is so trance-like. Which it is, but I feel like I'm very pretentious for saying that. Like, if you've got any interest in jazz at all, like if you heard someone play the saxophone once and was like, hey, that's pretty cool, give this album a listen. This is the album that I would recommend the most to people. Just beautiful sounds and arrangement and production of all across the board. And also got some great features from people like Andre 3000 and a couple of the guys from Coast Contra, which I quite like. But a tour de force, sublime album. The top 3. Oh, this is hard. Okay, for number 3, I'm going to go with Brat by Charlie XCX. I get it now. I love this like aggressive hyperpop kind of stuff. I love how it's like club music, but some of the tracks are also kind of deep and personal as well. I just feel like it's banger after banger after banger. Hottest album of last summer, more like 3rd hottest album of my 2025. So number 2, I'm gonna go with Alligator Bites Never Heal by Doechii. I heard in an interview Doechii like calling this album a mixtape, but she didn't want to call it an album just because she kind of just wanted to write and release stuff instead of having to think about, you know, all the things that make a great album an album, like, you know, the interconnectivity, maybe telling a story and stuff. But I think if you look hard enough, there's a bit of an arc in this album. I think each track is stacked with personality. The production is sick, her flow is sick, the bars are sick, she's funny too. There's so many great tracks on here, like Denial is a River, Nissan Altima, boiled peanuts. Hoocha! I like boom bap, rappity rap, boom bap bap. I can't keep naming off. Just all these tracks are just really good. Like I was saying, she's structured it more like a mixtape instead of an album. That is to say, more of a lack of structure, which means I guess you can just kind of like dive in, and it's quite accessible in a way. And I think that's fantastic. And I think all of you should access it. And number one, my favorite album that I listened to in 2025 is Punk Tactics by Joey Valance and Bray. The reason I put this number one out of the top 5 was I think I just had the most fun with this album. And at the end of the day, isn't that what listening to music is all about? I just had a ridiculous amount of fun listening to this. It got me running, it got me jumping, it got me punching, it got me doing backflips off the wall. It was sick. It's so energetic and like in your face, and it'll punch you in the stomach and kick you as you're falling down, and you'll like it. That's the kind of energy this album has, I think. Like, if you put this album on when you're driving, you'll be speeding, running red lights, chopping loops. Maybe, actually, yeah, don't try not to listen to this while you're driving. Yeah, just, again, the most fun I had listening to an album this year. And that's that. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know. We'll have a conversation about music and art and stuff. Anyway, that's it. Bye.